Right, let's talk about hot weather riding gear, summer 2024 edition. In this video, I'll be comparing the Knox Urbane Pro Mark 3 jacket with the new 2024 Rev'it Airwave 4 jacket, and I'll talk a bit about the Airwave 4 pants as well. As of this year, 2024, Rev'it released a AA upgrade to their Airwave series. This is AA now. Same as the Urbane Pro Mark 3. Mark 2 was also AA, but now a comparison can be drawn because they're both AA. Yeah, let me start by saying I'm based in Tokyo. In the summer, it gets insanely hot here. At a red light, you can easily be sitting under, 45 degree sun, 45 degrees Celsius, I should add. Sun, crazy humidity, it's brutal. The question it's not about not sweating, like forget about feeling comfortable. The question is just about staying focused enough to ride and hopefully, enjoy the moments while you're moving. Because yeah, when you're stopped, it's brutal, no matter what you're wearing. You could be wearing a t-shirt and it's going to be hot anyway. But yeah, so let me talk a bit about the Knox Urbane Pro Mark 3. Cult classic for hot weather jackets. They call it a armored base layer, so it's quite form-fitting compared to the Airwave 4, which is a little more of a kind of loose, airy fit. The Knox jacket here flows, I would say, more air. It flows the air more directly. On the chest especially, you have this wide open mesh, aeronet mesh, I think they call it. I'm not sure. On the chest, there's no backing. Like you can see my hand straight through there. In other places, like up here, you can see there's a backing layer. It extends down through the arm. And yeah, on the back also, same aeronet mesh, but also again, there's a backing everywhere. But in any case, it flows a lot of air. And the airflow feels like direct, like it feels like you're not really wearing anything if you're moving at a good speed. And here they have some other kind of stretchy material. It's also kind of meshy, like it has some holes in it. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. But other than that, you have this kind of abrasion-resistant stretchy material that makes up kind of all the impact zones, like elbows, down by the cuff, shoulders, same thing, back, same thing. Sorry, I don't know the material name. But yeah, it's, it seems to do the trick, I think. Yeah, I'll stop there for the Urbane Pro. Regarding airflow on the Airwave 4, so Rev'it has a bit of a different design here. It's more of a jacket. It's not quite as form-fitting. It's a little more airy. There's a lot of like mesh on the inside, so there's two layers everywhere basically, but it's all mesh. On the chest here, on the front, this is like perforated as well, and there's mesh on the inside. I'm not too sure why they chose this kind of denser material up top, but yeah, you still feel air there. On the back, let me flip it around. Again, like it's all, the whole back is kind of that same mesh that you saw on the chest. Sides as well, armpit, back of the arm, again, it's that mesh, inside of the arm. Yeah, but as you can see, it's a pretty like tight weave, a tightly woven mesh. So you don't get as much of that direct airflow sensation. It's more of a diffuse airflow sensation, which I think honestly it functions just as well. Like you could even argue that something like this would let what's called like the evaporative cooling effect work better. Meanwhile, on the Urbane Pro, kind of that direct airflow might actually make you feel hotter, just because there isn't time for like sweat to accumulate on your skin. I don't know. I'm going off kind of subjective experience here. Disclaimer, I haven't yet used this in like the peak of summer, since I just got this like a month or two ago. But just going off sort of the early summer comparison, literally today I rode these back to back to get a comparison between them. And yeah, overall airflow, I would say Urbane Pro Mark 3, probably more airflow, but Airwave 4 is totally fine. Like, felt very airy, felt yeah, very comfortable. I don't think that, I can't imagine a situation where I would feel fine wearing the Knox, but feel hot wearing the Airwave 4 jacket. I think they chose a bit of a different strategy in terms of how they designed the airflow, but overall they both flow a lot of air, and that's great. Yeah, maybe one interesting thing to point out is up here. So if we look at the arms specifically, kind of upper arm area, Knox, they have the mesh. Meanwhile, Rev'it, it's not the mesh material. I don't know, it's some kind of like synthetic textile fabric. Technical, I don't know, think kind of like mountaineering jacket or something. Not waterproof, but like kind of that ballistic nylon direction. Yeah, but it's not mesh, which I think is fine. Like, again, you're getting most of the airflow through like the central area. So I think it's fine that, I don't think that this will make too big of a difference overall. Yeah. Yeah, and another thing that's worth mentioning, so the Urbane Pro is very like kind of single layery. Like, they designed it as an armored base layer. So there isn't really like a liner anywhere in any places. So as you sweat, inevitably, I think it'll be a little less comfortable than the Airwave, which has a liner that's like separate from the outside of the jacket, right? So I think that will kind of help things stay a little looser overall. And speaking of looseness, so both of the size charts are accurate, I would say. If you follow the Knox size chart that they post on their website, please go directly to their website and find the size chart, because if you order from somewhere else, sometimes they just recycle a generic size chart, which won't give you the fit you're looking for. But Knox's the fit that Knox targets through their size chart for this jacket is very kind of a slim, tailored, almost skin tight, basically. And they say it's for safety. You know, you don't want the armor moving around in a crash. Fair enough, I don't know. I personally, if you're riding in situations where you might be crashing at high speeds, you probably should be wearing leather. So I think like these jackets kind of serve a different function, let me put it that way. Like, if you're wearing a textile jacket designed for airflow, you know, don't be riding around like you're on the track, right? Like, it'll give you some protection, right? But don't expect it to, you know, keep you completely safe, right? It's something, right? It's good. It's good to take precautions, but again, like they will hold up in a crash is my general impression at moderate speeds. But yeah, I wouldn't expect a miracle from these, either of them, to be honest. I'm sure they're safe. I'm sure they're as safe as CE AA can be, but again, like, don't be expecting a miracle, right? With that aside, we can talk a bit more about safety in the context of armor. One of the big differences, yeah, so they're both CE AA, but the Knox comes with, what do they call it? Micro-lock compact level 2 armor. So shoulders, elbows, and back is all this. I'll pick it up in a second here. It's this, have this in the bag here because I'll be comparing the weight momentarily. Yeah, so it's this kind of like foamy material. It's very flexible. They have this like hex honeycomb kind of design, which helps it flex. Yeah, so CE AA armor, right? Very comfortable. Yeah, comfortable. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Yes, level 2 armor, flexible, comfortable. But what I found is it has a tendency to tear. Especially kind of, it'll start at the corner and kind of creep in along this structure. I think it basically can't be helped because it's this sort of like soft, flexible material. I think it's just a trade-off for this type of armor. Again, it's very comfortable. A lot of shock absorption is yeah, well received, I think. And to Knox's credit, excellent customer support. They have a 5-year warranty on their Micro-Lock compact armor. So if you show them that the armor tore, they will ship you a new set. Again, like, stellar customer support from Knox. Really praise them on that note. But the fact that the armor does have a tendency to tear, in my experience, just keep that in mind. It's, you know, again, I'm in Japan, so if I take out the armor because I want to wash the jacket and realize it started to tear, then I need to get in touch with customer support and they'll ship it over and it'll come quickly, right? But it's still, it's something I wish didn't have to happen, but that's enough. So yeah, that's the limb armor on the shoulders and elbows. Very comfortable, very flexible, very shock absorbent, feels great, you forget it's there. Level 2, right? With Rev'it, it's there we go, we're back. Yeah, so it's their, what do they call this? C-Smart. C-Smart level 1 armor. This is actually a knee armor from another piece of clothing I have from them. But same idea. Elbows, shoulders are this type of material. It's level 1. But what I like about it, it's pre-curved, so I find it sits on the joint really well. And doesn't really, like, you really forget it's there. You don't feel it too much when you like flex and move around. Yeah, like, I'm really happy with how it fits. It is just level 1 though. But again, like, if we're talking about high airflow summer jackets, you know, I think the focus isn't necessarily on optimal shock absorption, right? Like, you have to make some compromises, basically, I think. And for a while, I was pretty opposed to using level 1 armor, but honestly, like, this fits me better than a lot of level 2 armor, and provides like more coverage than, like, for example, like D30 Ghost level 2. I found that the actual coverage provided felt like a little tiny section. Even though the armor was bigger, just the way they designed it, it felt like the actual like shock absorption area was quite small. Meanwhile, on the Rev'it C-Smart level 1 armor, yeah, it felt very secure and kind of broad coverage. So that's what I like about it. Yeah. And let's talk about back armor. So on the advantage of the Knox Urbane Pro, I think, is the coverage is quite large. You can't really see it. I can't really shine a light, I think, to show it. But the back protector is very wide, right? So let me try and like outline it like this. So it's like from here, a big thick chunk of like this foam. Again, it's the Micro Lock Compact armor. Very comfortable, very flexible. You forget it's there. And the back doesn't tear. I haven't had the back tear yet. So I think coverage-wise, it is more reassuring. Meanwhile, on the Rev'it, I can't pull it out again because of how tight it is on the inside. I find with Rev'it jackets, once you get the back protector in, you don't really want to take it out, just because of how tight that fitment is. Yeah, so it's C-Soft. I went for the Air version, which has more perforations. Let me try and show you with a light here, just so you can get an idea. Yeah, so it's kind of like these 3 layers of foam. Foam, I don't know, yeah, kind of a dense foam. It's pretty solid. It's not, you know, it's not super flexible, super comfortable, but it's good enough, I think. What I found interesting, if you look in the manual that comes with the back armor, which is sold separately, it's included in the Knox, it's sold separately with Rev'it. If you look in the manual, they show something interesting, which is essentially that the actual like impact protection area is this kind of square, this rectangle in the center. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. The actual back protector, because it's this sort of like stacked multi-layer foam structure, the coverage extends wider, but I guess that it's only rated for the level of protection where those 3 layers overlap. But yeah, in any case, I think it's fine. Again, try not to use it, but it's there, it's level 2. Yeah, good to have. Yeah, sold separately for the Airwave. Limb armor is included, but the back armor is sold separately. Yeah, let me pause for a second and collect some thoughts. So I think the last thing I wanted to mention was the price. So we talked about the difference in airflow, the difference in material, the difference in armor. And there's actually a pretty big price gap between these two. I believe that the Knox Urbane Pro comes in at $330 US. Meanwhile, the Rev'it Airwave 4 comes in at $270 US. I believe I pulled these prices from RevZilla just to have a, you know, comparison on the same retailer. Prices will vary depending on where you order, but Rev'it is, the Airwave 4 is substantially more affordable. I think the cost performance is a lot higher. And one feature that I forgot to mention actually, the Airwave has this short connection zipper, which zips in very easily, very nicely with their pants, which I think adds another kind of feature here. Meanwhile, the Knox Urbane Pro Mark 3, they have these like belt loops where I guess you can loop your belt through and connect it with the pants. But it's not very convenient for me. I've never used it. I find that this short connection zipper is a lot easily to just kind of grab and go. Oh, and I see that they have these belt loops here as well that you can pop open and attach to your jeans or pants or whatever you're using. I'll be using it with the Airwave 4 pants, which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah, so my personal opinion, Airwave 4, much better cost performance. I found the Knox Honister is a bit, I don't know. I'm just, I don't vibe with it. I'm not sure how else to put it. It's, if you buy it, you'll like it. I'll say that much. But it's stuff like, for example, there's these monkey loops, I think they're called, for your thumb. I don't find it particularly useful or comfortable, and the material they used, I don't know if you can see, yeah, it frays from the Velcro on my gloves. So that's just kind of annoying, just to see that every time. Yeah, I mean, the armor's level 2, but is it, you know, it's a foam and kind of more likely to get sweaty versus compared to the Rev'it level 1 armor, which is stiffer but more ventilated, I think. Yeah, and ultimately I think I just like the Rev'it ecosystem better because these are excellent pants. I'm very happy to discover them. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about the jackets. So let me talk a bit about the pants. Let me just shift some stuff over here. Yeah, I'll do it like this, actually. Grab this. There we go. All right. So, also CEAA, also level 1 armor. And there's hip armor and knee armor. And again, very similar construction on these. A lot of mesh. There's a liner on the inside, but yeah, you have that same mesh all the way down the sides, back of the knee, kind of ankle area, thigh area at the back is all mesh. Yeah, a lot of airflow, which is not something that you could say for the Knox Urbane trousers, I think they're called, which are also CEAA. They came with level 1 Knox armor. Both hips and knees were level 1 Knox armor. And although they called them the Urbane trousers, they actually didn't share much with the Urbane jacket design, because essentially there was no like open mesh, there was no real airflow. What they were these like kind of like stretchy pants, like, yeah, stretchier than like stretch denim. So very form-fitting, this kind of textile material, kind of like, yeah, kind of like the abrasion-resistant material that you see on the elbow and the shoulders on the Knox jacket, but all over, right? And there was no mesh, so they didn't really flow much air. They did feel safe, they did feel comfortable, they were easy to wash, take out the armor, throw it in the washing machine, hang it up to dry. It seemed fine, but I just felt like it didn't serve the purpose of being a ventilated summer riding outfit. So yeah, I used it for a season. I sold it. I also used the Knox Honister jacket, AAA rated jacket, Knox Honister, that same season. Also sold it because it, yeah, again, it was very protective, very sturdy, but there wasn't that billowing airflow sensation. It was just, yeah, kind of this textile jacket that you could wash easily. So yeah, you'd sweat in it, and then you'd take out the armor, throw it in the wash, and yeah, I guess that was convenient about it, but I didn't find it particularly refreshing on rides. Now, these, however, the Airwave 4 pants, a lot of airflow. Inside of the thigh as well. If you kind of spread your legs while riding, you'll get some nice air, you know, in the important regions that sometimes need to get some air as well. A bit of a baggy fit, admittedly. If you follow the size chart for the Rev'it Airwave line, it will be slightly baggy, slightly relaxed. I would say, I read an article where they said that you can go down a size. Don't quote me on that. I mean, if it, try it out, if it works, let me know. I went by the size chart. This is a size S set, standard length legs. I don't think I could squeeze in, I don't know, maybe. If I could squeeze into an extra small, it would be tight, which isn't necessarily what I'm looking for. Yeah, so flows a lot of air, kind of a bit more of a baggy, relaxed, airy summer fit. One thing that I don't really like, I'll show you this on the jacket. They have these straps that you can use to tighten up the forearm, presumably to keep the armor pressed up against your elbow a bit more. I haven't felt the need for it personally on the elbows. Like, I felt like my arm filled out the sleeve well enough to not require that. I wish, however, that they had it on the knee, like behind the knee on the pants. Because, yeah, otherwise I find the armor is rather loose around my knee. I don't fully like the way it fits there. You can use this Velcro down by the ankle to tighten it up a bit, which does help stabilize the knee armor a bit, but it's still not quite that reassuring fit that you'd want it to be. So I think that's probably my biggest complaint with the Airwave 4 pants so far. The knee armor, yeah, it's not super reassuring, but, you know, it's comfortable, it's airy, CEAA rated, so, you know, it'll stop at least your skin from coming off in a crash, hopefully. Yeah, very happy that these are AA now. If you look around, there's a lot of single A ventilated gear, but AA basically narrows you down to just a few products, I think 2 of which I mentioned in this video. So overall verdict, both are great products, both lines are great. Cost performance wise, I have to go with Rev'it. I really like what they did with this jacket, with this set as a whole. I think it's a good yeah, kit for the summer. You can also, again, like, Knox likes to talk about their layering system, where you can use this year-round as your armor, and then as things get colder, you can throw on an insulation layer, you can throw on a waterproof shell over top of it. and use this in the winter as well. Yeah, you can do the same thing with the Rev'it, in my opinion. Just size correctly, right? And make sure that your insulation layer is bigger than your jacket, than your base layer protective jacket. Yeah, I don't think there's anything particularly special about the base layering system that Knox devised, although it's a great idea, and I wish that more manufacturers would move in that direction. So yeah, closing thoughts. Both are great kit. I have to go with the Rev'it. I like the short connection zipper. I like how it works as a system, as a whole. I like the super ventilated pants. Yep. That's all for now. Please leave a comment if you have any questions or have some thoughts. Always happy to hear from other riders. Ride safe.